Good morning, members of the Transportation Safety Committee. The meeting is now called to order, and it's 10 o'clock, right on the dot. For those around the table, please turn on your microphone when speaking. For those participating via Zoom, please state your name when making comments or asking questions. The MAG public comment process allows members of the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction. If you'd like to comment on today's meeting, please complete the request to speak form. MAG staff can assist you with any questions you may have. If you parked in the garage, a validation stamp is available on the counter to my right. If you purchased a transit ticket to come to the meeting, please see staff for a ticket. Hearing assisted devices are available from MAG staff. We will now begin the meeting with a roll call of all members.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, member of the Transportation Safety Committee. Roll call for Transportation Safety Committee meeting. Shane Kiesel from City of Apache Junction.
I'm here.
Craig Martin, Arizona Department of Public Safety. Jacob Pruitt from Arizona Department of Transportation.
Present.
Raj Thoram, City of Avondale.
Present.
Craig Sharp from City of Buckeye.
Present.
Raymond Huang from City of Chandler.
I'm here. Good morning.
Nick Russo from City of El Mirage. Glenn Robinson from Federal Highway Administration.
Good morning. I'm here.
Christopher Salas from Town of Florence. Aaron Pinkerton from Town of Gilbert. Tony Abos from City of Glendale.
Good morning, I'm present.
Eric Sisek from City of Goodyear. Jesse Torres from Governor's Office of Highway Safety.
Good morning, I'm here.
Kate Drunaski from City of Litchfield Park.
I'm here.
Kerry Osborne from City of Maricopa. Mazen Muradovich from Maricopa County Department of Transportation.
Good morning, I'm here.
Stephen Bach from City of Mesa. Austin Kennedy from City of Peoria.
Present.
Carl Langford from City of Phoenix.
Good morning, everyone. Present.
Tara Harman from Pinal County Public Works.
Good morning, I'm present.
Janet Martin from Town of Queen Creek. Elaine Dominguez as proxy for Sam Taylor from City of Scottsdale.
Present.
Kathy Hollow as proxy for Michelle Beckley from City of Tempe.
Yes, good morning.
Alyssa Ryan from University of Arizona. Adrian Ruiz from Valley Metro. Are there any members that we have missed? That concludes the roll call, Mr. Chair, and we do have quorum. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Moving on to item number 2, the poll to the audience. This is an opportunity for the public to comment on items that are under the MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda, informational items or items on the agenda for discussion and not for action. 15 minutes will be provided for the call to audience unless the chair requests an exception to the limit, to this limit. Do we have any speaker? Nope. Okay, I have received no request to speak or the call to audience. MAG also provides the opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via MAG's website. Any comments received 2 hours prior to the meeting have been shared with the committee members in advance of the meeting for consideration and will be included in the formal meeting minutes. I believe, staff, we have received one comment, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the Transportation Safety Committee, we received one written comment from the public, and those were sent to the committee prior to the meeting, and we will include those in the formal meeting minutes.
Thank you, Margaret. As this action is, there's no, as this is an information item, there's no action going to be taken. We'll move on to the item number 3, which is the MAG staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Transportation Safety Committee. I have about 4 items today, and I have a couple of guests to provide a couple of updates. Next slide, please. I'd like to invite Glenn Robeson from Federal Highway Administration to provide us an update.
Thank you. Good morning. So last Friday, November 15th, the third and final round of the fiscal year 24 Safe Streets and Roads for All program grants were announced. So there were 5 recipients that were awarded funding totaling over $5 million. Those recipients, there were 2 cities, one of those in the MAG region, 1 MPO and 2 counties. And just historically speaking, from the inception of this program in 2022, 32 Arizona recipients have been awarded more than $77 million. So of those recipients, there have been 35 planning and demonstration grants and 3 implementation grants. So the next round of funding opportunities, so we're expecting the next announcement prior to March 30th. And that'll begin the fiscal year 25. So we've got 2 years left in this program. And I've got a link there for additional information for that. But keep an eye out for the next notice of funding opportunity. Like I said, that by latest, March 30th will be the announcement. And then the awardees for this third and final round. So the City of Douglas, Glendale, Gila County, Pima County, and Central Yavapai MPO were all awarded planning and demonstration grant funding. And that's all I have regarding the SS4A program. Any questions regarding SS4A? Right. All right. And so November 6th, we hosted a workshop, and it was a traffic safety workshop for law enforcement engineers. So this was a workshop that state of Colorado initiated back in March. Myself and Jeff King with Federal Highways, we were asked to help facilitate. So it was a one-day workshop, and it was Denver area law enforcement engineers. So went really well. We got back to Arizona. We decided this is something that we wanted to do in Arizona, just to get both groups together and talking. So again, this was November 6th. We had several agencies from the MAG region attend. So we had Arizona DPS, we had the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, we had the City of Phoenix, Mesa, Tempe, Avondale, Buckeye, and then we had engineers from ADOT as well as the Maricopa County Department of Transportation. So overall, I think the workshop went really well. We did have a lot of presentations. So again, the idea was to get both groups in the same room talking. We've heard that there's been staffing issues, both of course within law enforcement and engineers. So the more they work together, I think the better results that we'll see. So started off with some presentations from Federal Highways on the National Roadway Safety Strategy. And then there's a good presentation from Jeff King on kinetic energy. And then Federal Highways Resource Center presented on road safety audits. We then got into cities of Tempe and Phoenix that presented on their Vision Zero adoption and how they've included law enforcement in their activities. So again, got some good feedback on that. We had some good examples of some coordination and collaboration that's been ongoing. So ADOT presented on their network screening and how they get the information to agencies, including law enforcement. Maricopa County DOT presented on high friction surface treatment and how they've included law enforcement in their testing. The City of Phoenix spoke about their fatal crash review teams that they had initiated back pre-COVID. Again, good information on some collaboration. And then finally, ADOT presented on their road safety assessment program. And they've recently begun to include law enforcement in that. So I think it's been some good progress. Also had some funding and resources presentations. So Federal Highways, along with ADOT, provided some funding opportunities through HSIP, SS4A, and then MAG actually presented on their CME AZ program for resources. And then finally, we wrapped up with the strategic highway safety plan and crash reporting. So there's going to be a revision to the crash report. ADOT is awaiting word on whether they received a grant. If they receive the grant, then they'll revise the crash report. It has to be 100% MUC compliant. So there was a short presentation on that, and that will be underway once they're notified of the grant. So again, this was an opportunity for both groups to get together. At the conclusion of the workshop, we did have a DPS trooper that attended, and he's the Northern Region Drug Recognition Expert Coordinator. And he actually asked us to come to the Flagstaff area to host another one of these workshops. So we're working on planning that sometime after the first of the year. And then we want to do another workshop here in the MAG region to include some of the agencies that we couldn't get everybody together for. So more to come on that. But if your agencies have some good examples of collaboration with law enforcement, please reach out. We want to make sure we include you and spread the word. So any questions on the workshop? All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Transportation Safety Committee. I do have a couple of project updates. I'll defer any substantive update for agenda item 7 for the predictive safety implementation. Mohammed will be giving us a demonstration regarding that project. The Regional Priority Safety Implementation Toolkit, we are in the midst of beta testing. We have a group of about 12 staff from member agencies doing some beta testing on that tool. We have our Safe Routes to School studies are about 25% complete right now. The kickoff meetings have been held, and we're at a little bit different stages of data collection and some of those other activities related to the Safe Routes to School studies. The fiscal year 2025 CME AZ program is approximately 42% invoiced for the media consultant. We have a couple of local agency safety studies requests. One of them is item number 5 today, so I'll defer to that as well. But those will probably get started next February or March. And then we have also the fiscal year 2024 non-motorized user network screening. That project is about 35% complete. And on the next slide, I believe I'm going to invite Jacob Pruitt from ADOT to provide an update on the Highway Safety Improvement Program.
Okay, thank you. Chairman, members of the committee, we have a total of 55 projects that have been approved for the HSIP funds that have been sent to scoping. But mind you, on the dates of here past January of 2025, they're still fluid because the PPAC and board dates have not been set. So I just want to give that caveat. So the initial applications that have been approved for the 55 will be sent to consultants to scope. And temporarily, right now we're looking at about 90 days to scope those projects. That was resolved from an internal PDCA that we did to allow for projects to all of them to be scoped, so that way we have least turnaround for projects that can't be eligible or make it in the funding portion. So, but as you can see here, those eligibility letters, again, they're going to be kind of fluid, but that's kind of what we're looking at based off of the previous years. So,
Thank
does
you,
anybody have
Jacob.
any questions?
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jacob. Next slide, please, Mohammed. And what you see here on the screen is our fiscal year 20, or I'm not sorry, not fiscal year, but calendar year 2025 Transportation Safety Committee schedule. You'll note that safety committee meetings are held the fourth Tuesday of every odd month, with exception of November, when we avoid the holiday week and move it up a week. So those meetings will, unless you're otherwise notified, it will be here in the MAG office's second floor Ironwood room at 10 a.m. to noon. And I believe that completes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Margaret. As this is an informational item, no action is being taken. I'll move on to item number 4. This is the approval of the September 24th meeting minutes. Does any member of the committee have questions? I'm hearing none. Prior to the approval of the meeting minutes, there's an opportunity for the members of the public to comment. Have we received any comments?
No, Mr.
Okay, I've received no comments. So is there a motion to approve agenda item number 4?
This is Mazen Muradovic, Maricopa County. I move to approve the agenda for September 24th, 24 minutes for Safety Committee.
Thank you, Mazen. Do we have a second?
This is Carl Langford from Phoenix. I'll second.
Okay. So we have a motion from Mazen Muradovic to approve, and a second from Carl Langford. We will have those participating in the meeting online take part in a voice vote by turning on their cameras and unmuting their audio. We need to see the faces of everyone to participate in the voice vote. For those who cannot or do not want to turn on their camera, staff will conduct a roll call vote. Staff will only call on those virtual participants who did not turn on their camera. Members, please leave your camera on until after the roll call vote so that staff can count the people's names whose cameras are not on. Okay.
For those of you online, we're having a little bit of technical difficulty getting all of your bright and shiny faces up on our screen. So I think we will, oh, there we go. Okay, so yes, if you are a member of the committee, please turn on your cameras, as Mr. Chair noted, if you can. Okay.
Okay, can I have a voice vote of those in the room and those online? Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. Members, please leave your camera on. Staff, can you take a roll call of the member participating virtually who did not turn on their camera?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, member of the Transportation Safety Committee. Roll call for members opting not to turn on their camera for agenda number 4. Craig Sharp,
That's an aye for me.
thank you. Eric Sisek, from City of Buckeye. City of Goodyear, I'm sorry. Eric Sisek from City of Goodyear. We can see your cameras turned on. How do you vote, Mr. Eric Sisek? Mr. Chair, I think that concludes our roll call. Are there anyone we missed? We can see Raj Thoram from City of Avondale. Can you, Mr. Raj, can you speak a little louder? We couldn't really hear.
Aye.
Thank you. And Ms. Janet Martin, how do you vote? Ms. Janet Martin, how do you vote for this agenda item? Mr. Mr. Chair, that concludes our roll call for members not opting to turn on their cameras.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes. There are 2 members who did not vote.
Okay, thank you. That we'll go ahead and move forward with the approval of the minutes. The next item is item number 5, FY25 Local Agency Safety Study Request. This item is on the agenda for information and will be presented by Aaron Pinkerton, Gilbert Town Traffic Engineer. Morning. Aaron.
Good morning. Apologize, I'm on my phone today. We got the Windows 11 update, and it turns out my computer doesn't want to play nicely with Zoom anymore. So I'll be back down with IT. I appreciate you allowing me to present today on the
We have lost audio.
It looks like he's on mute.
Thank you. I must have done that while I was squatting back the screen. So yeah, making sure I got. If you can share the presentation, or do I need to do that?
We have the presentation. It looks like we have the presentation here, so go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, the one online cannot see the presentation.
Thank you for letting us know.
One kind of interesting challenges today.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so this is a kind of an interesting location we've looked at a few times. Trying to figure out what we should do. Kind of high level. This is over. This is where a Powerline Trail crosses at Val Vista Road. So one of our arterials. The Powerline Trail. It's kind of it's a trail that comes in and out. It's mostly on SRP property, but it does come into different jurisdictions. Some of it's HOA, some of it's the town, some of it's SRP or such. It comes out a dirt road on the north side of it that gets muddy, but also has a paved trail that's part of the HOA and acknowledged as part of the power line trail to the south. And then just before you get to Val Vista, it connects into Hearn Road, the residential street there, and uses that sidewalk to cross the street. So you can see there, whereas it kind of loops into this has been here since you look back at Google Photos for years. This has been the striping configuration, kind of this like jog midway, obviously not very disability friendly, having a kink in the middle of your sidewalk or in the middle of your crosswalk. So we're looking at go to the next slide. There's currently a study, a trail corridor study, and there's kind of your view on the other side. If you cross the street, all the things that you're facing up against. And one thing you can't see is just farther to the left there. There's actually another curb cut in the median to cross the street in the middle of the street for SRP vehicles. So there's just a lot going on here, a lot of things to work around, to jog through. So the town has commissioned a consultant as part of the corridor study to look at, okay, where should we be putting our trail network? Because some of it's on HOA, some of it's on private property, some of it's SRP or RWCD, and some of it's town owned. So where should our trails go? And as part of that, we're looking at several intersections, including this one, and doing a 15% design assessment of, hey, this is their recommendation to put it. With it being just kind of 15% and lumped in as part of another project, we had discussions with MAG to say, hey, could we use some of the additional funding to have in essence, evaluation of our 15% design and saying, are we actually looking at it the correct way? Have we had the right people, the right minds evaluating this to kind of check, are we doing the right thing here? Just because there's so many factors involved here. I believe I have one more slide here. I guess, yeah. So that's kind of the main information. We're just looking for the $20,000 to do kind of an assessment of our 15% design to the fact, okay, are we really evaluating this correctly? How can we improve the safety? Because we came up with originally internal staff with a couple ideas, but we didn't necessarily love any of the ideas. There wasn't a one true fix because there's a lot going on here and a lot of options. So that would be our ask to the community today, would be to approve us to be included in the local agency safety study fund for the remaining $20,000 to work in conjunction with our 15% design to evaluate the design to make sure we're capturing the best solution for this area, the trail users. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Mr. Chair, members of the Transportation Safety Committee, and Mr. Pinkerton, just for clarification, this item does not require a motion or, I'm sorry, action to approve. This is for information and discussion. So we would definitely welcome any questions you might have of Mr. Pinkerton or of MAG for that matter.
Any questions from anyone?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, one question I have, you made it sound like there's a larger corridor project that you guys are working on. Is that corridor project from where to where?
Yes, hold on, let me show my door. We have the remodeling the office. So you might not be able to the chainsaw or the cutting, but I can. I would have to get the details exactly. I know the Val Vista is the end of it, and it goes farther to the west. I want to say it goes about 2 miles is kind of the extent of the project. And that's just kind of a high level concept and evaluation of where should we do. So I believe there's 4 crossings and about a 2-mile section.
Any other questions from any of the other committee members? Thank
And
you.
that, just add that study's being commissioned by our transportation planning group.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron. As this information is, or as this item is for information and discussion, there will be no action taken. Moving on to item number 6, the Pinal County Strategic Transportation Safety Plan. This item is on the agenda for information and will be presented by Tara Harmon, Pinal County Transportation Planning Supervisor. Tara?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you. And good morning to our MAG members. As he said, I'm Tara Harmon, Pinal County Senior Transportation Planner. I believe I also have Jason Botchin from the Sun Corridor MPO, as well as Mike Blankenship with Green Light Traffic Engineering, attending virtually also. I just wanted to point that out. They're here today to assist with the presentation and field any questions regarding the presentation and this plan update. Do we have the presentation to show? There you go. Thank you. Next slide, please. The STSP updates the 2019 Pinal County Strategic Transportation Safety Plan. Between 2018 and 2022, there were 360 fatalities in Pinal County related to vehicle crashes. That's an average of 6 people per month who have passed due to vehicle crashes, and 10,473 people who were injured in over 22,000 reported crashes throughout that time frame. Next slide, please. The county is committed to the Federal Highway Administration and ADOT's zero deaths vision, and our goal is to strive to reduce deaths and serious injuries and crashes by 20% over the next 6 years. Next slide. We're going to look at some crash data analysis. Based on reported crashes in ADOT's Arizona Crash Information System database from 2018 through 2022, most crashes and fatal crashes are in unincorporated Pinal County. That being said, I should point out that Santan Valley and Arizona City, while unincorporated, were analyzed separately from the rest of the unincorporated parts of the county. These crash numbers are crashes within the agency's boundaries and not necessarily on the agency's roads. For example, many of the crashes in the Gila River Indian community are on Interstate 10, which is an ADOT facility. You can see on the chart that a total of 132 fatal crashes were reported in unincorporated Pinal County, with Gila River Indian community reporting 60 within their boundaries. Next slide, please. Some crash type highlights from our MAG member agencies are Apache Junction reporting high frequency crash types of rear end, angle, and left turn crashes. Maricopa, the city of Maricopa, reporting rear end, left turn, and single vehicle crashes. The town of Queen Creek reporting rear end, left turn, and same direction side swipes. The town of Florence reporting rear end, single vehicle, and angle crashes. And countywide, rear end and single vehicle crashes account for nearly 55% of the crashes. Next slide, please. Ironwood Drive, we're going to look at some of the top 20 intersections. Ironwood Drive at Baseline Avenue in Apache Junction and Ironwood Drive at Pima Road in Pinal County both report 5 serious injuries crashes each. But the intersection of Ironwood at Pima in the county also reported 2 fatal crashes. State Route 87 at Skousen Road is another intersection that reports multiple crashes of both serious injury and fatal crashes, with 4 serious injury crashes and 2 fatalities. Although I would like to point out that ADOT is currently has a project underway to add improvements and a signal at this particular intersection. Network screening on crash frequency and severity was used to identify the top 20 intersections and the segments, which we'll see on the next slide. State Route 88 from Mountain View Road to milepost 199.5 in the Apache Junction area. State Route 87 from Kenworthy Avenue to Buckeye Inn Road in the Coolidge area. and State Route 87 from Goodyear Road to Hunt Highway on the Gila River Indian Community all have reported 4 serious injury crashes. The segment reporting the highest fatal crashes is State Route 177 from mile marker 162 to mile marker 162 and a half. And that's located between Superior and Kearney. And they have reported 3 fatalities within that segment. Next slide, please. Emphasis areas. Emphasis areas were identified based on crash data analysis results and stakeholder input. Directing safety initiatives towards these specific areas will help to achieve the STSP vision and goal. And our areas are behavior-related, impaired driving, not wearing seatbelt, intersection, lane departures, nighttime, and age-related, specifically under 25 and over 64. Next slide, please. The Safe System Approach framework was utilized in identifying appropriate strategies. The 5 safe system elements include safe roads, safe speeds, safe road users, safe vehicles, and post-crash care. The strategies were also categorized into the 4 E's of traffic safety, which are engineering, enforcement, education, and emergency response. Next slide. Nine HSIP applications were developed and submitted to ADOT in May of 2024, totaling nearly 21 million. ADOT is currently reviewing applications with selections expected by the end of this year. Next slide, please. With $1 billion available annually in the US for safe streets and roads for all, planning and implementation grants, the STSP can be used in SS4A implementation grant applications. The county received SS4A planning funds this year, which will be used to supplement the findings of this strategic transportation safety plan. Next slide. So what are our next steps? With these final 4 meetings, the plan is expected to be completed at the beginning of this coming year when we take it to the Pinal County Board of Supervisors for final approval in January. And I believe that wraps up our presentation. If there's any questions or discussion, we'd be happy to field those at this time.
Thank you, Tara. Do any members have questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Since this was a information and discussion item, there'll be no action taken, and I will move on to item number 7, MAG Predictive Safety Implementation Update. This item's on the agenda for information and will be presented by Mohammed Shahid, MAG Transportation Engineer 3. Mohammed?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, member of the Transportation Safety Committee. As you know, the Predictive Safety Implementation Project for the MAG region arterial, and arterial collector intersections is almost complete. We are at the very end stretch of the project where we are basically now testing the tools and providing any feedback to the developer team, and also finalizing all the documentations that are required for future maintenance and data updates of the tool. So this tool that we have developed is a web-based tool, which can be used to conduct network screening, diagnosis, and selecting some countermeasures, and basically based on those countermeasures, economic appraisal of those selected countermeasures based on the diagnosis that was conducted. Just to make sure that as part of this effort, what we have done is we can give or provide access to this tool to any MAG member agencies. This tool is being currently maintained and housed in MAG in-house. So we basically maintain the tool. What you have to do is you can just send an email request with your first and last name and the email address, and our IT department will be able to provide you access for the tool. Once we finalize the tool by the end of this month, the tool is still in beta version, but once the tool goes live for everyone to use, we can provide you access. So with that being said, I just want to give you a brief timeline. As you can see, the main 4 modules of the tool, we started to initially deploy the network screening module back in May. And from May till now, as you can see in November, by the end of November, we should be done completing or finalizing the tool based on the testing and fine tuning. That is almost currently 80 to 90% completed. We have also sent the tool to our technical advisory group for any comments or suggestions they may have, so that we can incorporate those suggestions or changes to the tool. With that being said, what we're going to do today, we're going to show you a brief demo of the tool. It's a web-based tool, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to share our screen for the web-based tool. One caution is that, originally the tool, the way the tool looks, it may look a little bit different when we are actually projecting it on the projection screen, because our projection screen is smaller in size than the original resolution here we are seeing in the monitor. So just keep in mind that when you will be actually using the tool will not be looking exactly the same as you will be seeing now on the screen. So with that being said, I'll just share the tool for everyone to see. So this is the network screening interface of the tool. As you can see, we have 4 modules: network screening, diagnosis, countermeasure, selection, and economic appraisal. You can see here the MAG region. And as I mentioned in the original tool, all these rows and columns are actually underneath the MAG region map, which you can see here because of the resizing of the web browser here. You are seeing it a little bit differently. So as you can see, we have data loaded into the tool from 2015 to the latest of 2023. When you start the network screening process, you can either conduct network screening for the whole MAG region, or if you want to select your own jurisdiction, you can do that. For example, if you want to select Phoenix, you can do that by selecting this, and it will basically select the Phoenix, only the Phoenix jurisdiction. But if you don't select anything, it's basically going to be everything in the MAG region, all the MAG member agencies included. So what we do as part of this network screening process is you can select different crash severity combination. As you can see, we have KABCO, which is all severity included. We have KABC, we have KA, and we have property damage only. One of the main reasons we have this combination of the crash severity is because these are the crash severity combinations for which we have developed our MAG region specific safety performance functions for different types of intersection. You can conduct the network screening for different facility type. By facility type, we mean here the different types of the intersections that we have available based on our definition from the Highway Safety Manual. As you can see, we divided the intersections into the rural and urban areas. We have obviously the most common 4-leg signalized intersection, stop control intersection. We have the same for rural areas. We have even 5-leg signalized intersections, 3-leg stop control intersection, both for urban rural areas. So you can select the type of intersections that you want to include in your analysis. If you don't select anything, then it's going to be just all types of intersections included in the network screening analysis. For our demo purpose, what I'm going to be doing here, I can select the 4-leg signalized intersection, which is obviously one of the highest in number. So when you select that one and you select the, I'm selecting here the all severities for the crash severity combination, and I'm selecting all of the crash data here that we have here. Once you select that, you're gonna see that this list will be populated based on what we have selected on the left. So this is a little bit inconvenient right now to see, but basically if we scroll down, scroll right, you can see we have 8 different performance measures based on which you can actually rank your sites here. By that, what I mean is if you look at the crash data, you can see the rank. You can basically rank your site based on the total crash data. You can rank your sites based on the predicted number of crashes, as you can see here. You can rank the sites based on the crash rate. You can rank your sites based on the excess predicted average crashes. You can rank your sites based on the equivalent property damage on the average crash frequency. And there are 3 more measures where you can rank your sites based on the expected average crash frequency, which is basically an empirical based method where you basically combine the predicted crashes and observed crashes to come up with an expected number of crashes. And you have the excess expected, and you have basically the final one, the level of safety service. You can, here the rankings gonna work the ways when you have LOSS 4, those are basically the highest rank or the worst performing intersections or sites. So you have the liberty to choose whichever performance measure or set of performance measures you want to use for your analysis. You can even compare the different network screening performance measures by looking at the different rank for the different performance measures. And you can, if you think that these are too much information for the user, you can, there's a filter option here where you can basically select the very performance measure that you are considering to use for your network screening, and you can just keep that one and get rid of the other ones. But if you want to look at multiple performance measure, that you can also use for your network screening. For our demo purpose, what I'm gonna be doing here is I'll just rank the sites for the facility type of urban 4-leg signalized intersection for the whole MAG region. I'll use the crash rate. So if you just click on this one, it's gonna rank all of your sites starting from 1 to the, whatever number of sites that you have available in the crash database. So once we select this one, and then once we select this one, I think it should be, okay. Yes, so basically, okay. So once we select this one, and then we have this ranking, as you can see now, if we go down, so, and then now that you have the ranked intersections from 1 to the very end, now it's up to you, like how many sites you want to select. So for example, the top ranked one is this one. You can select this one, or you can select as many locations as you want. For times constraint, I'm gonna select just one intersection here. That's the top ranked one based on your crash rate performance measure. So once you select that one, you have to click Save and Continue, which is gonna basically take you to the diagnosis module. So once you go to the diagnosis module here, you have some options. So for example, if you click on the site that you have selected, it's gonna give you a very high level overview of the types of crashes that you have. For example, it's gonna show you the total number of crashes. It's gonna show you the top 2 crashes that you have at this location, which are left turn and rear end. And it's gonna show you some of the other emphasis areas that we normally consider for our safety analysis. Once you take a look at this high level information for the site that you have selected, you can also take a look at the site or number of sites that you basically select from your network screening to zoom into the location to get an idea about where this site or number of sites are located. This is just for information purpose. You can even go ahead and click on the crash data tab, and if you select the site, you can download the crash data for these sites. If you have multiple sites, you can even do that. You have the option for data visualization, where you can basically see the different factors or contributing factors for the crashes happening at this site. As I have selected only one site, you're gonna see only crashes happening at the that were basically, occurring at this site for the time period from 2015 to 2023. We have included, again, some very high level and basic information that normally we take into account when doing crash data analysis, crashes by year, month, and a week of the day. We have also included time of the day, crash severity distribution by vulnerable roadway users, lighting conditions, collision manner, this type of information, age category, distracted driving, speeding, etc. So these are all information that can be useful for you to decide if you already know about the location. This information can be helpful for you to basically select your countermeasures when we go to the next module. One other thing that we have included in the diagnosis module is basically the test of proportion, which is a little bit advanced statistical technique. What we have done here is basically for all the crash severity combination that we have considered, like K, BC, K, BK, and we have included some other also more common types of crashes, which we see pretty frequently happening at our arterial intersections. So what we have done here is, for this site, what this test of proportion is doing is it's basically looking at the number of observed crashes for this crash category, and it's basically comparing these observed crashes with the all crashes in the MAG region or the region that or the jurisdiction that you have selected for the similar site type. So for example, here we have selected the urban signalized intersection, and we have selected MAG region. So what they're doing here basically is they're basically comparing your site with the similar facility type sites in the whole MAG region, or because we selected the whole MAG region here. But if you selected your jurisdiction, for example, City of Phoenix or City of Scottsdale, it's going to be comparing within that jurisdiction. So they compare this crash category with the region or your jurisdiction for similar site type and do a statistical analysis, which is known as the test of proportion, to find out like if this crash category is overrepresented for this site compared to the region. By that, we mean that if for this example, you can see none of the crash category were overrepresented, but if some of these were overrepresented, then it would have shown yes with a red flag. So that means that the site that you are doing analysis on, for example, if it would have said yes, you would say that, okay, this site has higher number of KBC crashes compared to the region or jurisdiction that you are comparing with for that site type, which is urban four-leg signalized intersection in this case. So this basically gives you a very useful information in terms of what type of crashes are overrepresented for the sites that you are considering to implement some safety countermeasures. So once you do this diagnosis, you can go to the countermeasure selection. So as you can see, we have basically included all the countermeasures from the FHWA CMF clearinghouse, and we have also considered all the countermeasures that we normally put into our RSA, MAG RSA that we have conducted over the last 10 years. So basically we combined we basically considered both the sources and basically come up with a comprehensive list of countermeasures, as you can see here. So you can this is a comprehensive list, and you can basically select your countermeasures based on various different filters. For example, you have the CMF ID, you have the CMF name, you have the star quality rating, as you can see, you have the accident modification factor, and a lot of other options that you can actually use. The jurisdiction where the crash modification study was conducted, or the number of years of data that were used, or when the study was conducted to come up with the CMF. So all these filters you can use to basically drill down to the very countermeasure that you are basically have in your mind or planning to implement. So again, here you can do the filter based on all these categories, and you can basically get rid of all of these columns if you don't wish to use these for your filtering. If you want to use some of those, you can do that. And here you can see you can basically filter based on whichever category you want to use for your countermeasure selection. There are a lot, so feel free to use the only ones that you want to use. We wanted to make sure that the users have the liberty to choose the criteria based on which they can select the countermeasures. You can even filter based on if you are looking for specific countermeasure. For example, here you can type, I'm just typing. So for example, if for this site, if we saw that, we have a left turn offset problem. So for example, we can type positive offset, and we want to see like, okay, what are the countermeasures that we get? So as you can see, for each of the countermeasure, you will see they have like subcategories. So you see the install positive offset left turn, and you can see under that you have a other CMF, different CMF IDs, because this is basically the heading of the countermeasure, and under that you have all the countermeasures within this category based on the when these were conducted, the star quality rating, or the crash modification factors. As you can see, different values. So based on these, you can filter further to select your countermeasure or narrow down on your countermeasure. For example, if we want to select based on this one, you can basically filter and choose whichever you want to choose. Similarly, you can basically select based on the star quality rating here. I'm just trying to find out where the star quality rating is. It should be here. Maybe I'm not getting it, but yeah, it's there. We can basically select based on the star quality rating. So for demo purpose, what I'll do is I'll just randomly select this one, but obviously users will have detailed idea about what they're selecting. So if we select this one, we're just selecting install positive offset left turn lane, and then go to the economic appraisal. You see, this is gonna show you, you can basically even change, this is gonna show you for these countermeasures, what are the different CMF's value that were, assigned for this countermeasure. So once you do that, just give me 1 second. So as you can see, for different severity combinations, which I mentioned before, KABCO, KABCK, and PDO, you have this CMF values. These are the CMFs, right? So, and you have one countermeasure here. But if you wish, you can include multiple countermeasures. And what this tool's gonna do is they're gonna combine the multiple countermeasures to come up with one CMF value. And with the way we do it is we use the latest method known as the common residual method, where we basically take multiple countermeasures and basically combine it to come up with one CMF so that we can apply it. And if you look at this CMF value, if you wish to calculate your benefit cost ratio only for one severity combination and you do not wish to calculate for all of the other severity combination, you can just put one in all of these here. These are editable cells, so you can put the value 1 so that you know they will not actually change. So I'm just showing you all the ones here. So we have this CMF value for this 4 severity combination. And once you basically, you know, expand the list, as you can see, initially what the tool's gonna do is here, the tool's gonna show you the benefit cost ratio for the all severity combination, which is KABCO. But obviously, if you want the benefit cost ratio for the other severity combination, you can find it here. The only drawback at this moment of the tool is that for the economic appraisal module is that the benefit cost ratio for the other severity combination are not shown here, which becomes a little bit complicated. But the benefit cost ratio that you see here is basically the CAPCO one. But if you want to use the benefit cost ratio for the other severity combination, you can basically get the value from here. You can see the service life benefit, which is basically the same as the present value benefit. So we basically use the present value benefit and the total project cost to come up with the benefit cost ratio. You have the net present value also. And obviously, these are all editable. You're going to edit this based on the service life, the discount rate, and the total project cost for the countermeasure or the set of countermeasures that you are selecting. You can even select the ADT growth factor as 2 or 1, or the applicable value that you have found from for the sites that you are considering. The way this tool works is that if you have a ADT growth factor of 1, assuming that it's not going to change, then we calculate this in a different way. But when we have a ADT growth factor different than 1, which means it's not going to be the same, then we calculate the BC ratio in another way. And you can actually, download all of your analysis result by clicking here, and then you can compare different sites once you have done your economic appraisal. So this tool basically provides you everything starting from the network screening to economic appraisal, especially for any safety projects that you are anticipating to fund or planning to apply for funding. So I think the more the users use it and provide us feedback, we should be able to, address any questions or comments that you may have. But one of the things that we kept in mind while developing this tool is that we wanted to make sure, although these tools consist of complicated statistical calculation by incorporating SPF, but we wanted to make sure that everyone can use it and try to make it as user-friendly as possible. So feel free to use any of the network screening performance measure that you feel comfortable with using. We have the traditional network screening performance measure, for example, crash rates and crash frequency. And we have also the advanced ones, such as the predicted crashes, the excess expected crashes, the EPDO expected crashes, etc. So this is pretty much the high-level brief. So I'm pretty sure once MAG member agency staff get to use the tool, they may have more questions or comments. So feel free to provide us with any feedback that you may have once we finalize this tool by the end of this month. The project basically runs through the end of this month, and we are almost on the verge of completion of this tool, implementation of this tool. With that, Mr. Chair, I think that concludes our demonstration.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. To Mohammed, please.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, sorry.
I just didn't know if he was done, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
I thought
No, no, no.
he was.
Yeah, so thank
So-
you, Mohammed. So anybody have any questions? Mazen, obviously you have one.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mohammed, just to confirm on, back to the network screening slide that you're talking about with reference to the crash rates and the prioritization of the location. Are we talking about, again, intersection related, for example, are we talking about the crash rates that relates to intersection that's measured in like 100 million vehicle entering? That kind, okay, so you are actually using the crash data based on a 5-year or maybe, and then ADT. So the ADT portion is, where is that coming from for you?
So the ADT information, the major, if you look at the network screening tool, we have major ADT, minor ADT. So we basically got all the ADT information from the ADOT HPMS reporting tool. But just to make a note here, obviously we don't have ADT for all the analysis here for each and every site. So what we did is we used some growth factors where we could, for example, if we have 2 years of ADT available for a particular sites, for example, 2015 and 2018, but we didn't have anything in between, we try to impute the, the missing ADT by calculating a rough growth rate and incorporating those. So ADT is obviously one of the challenges, when you try to incorporate this type of tool, because you don't have ADT information available for all the sites all the year. But yeah, we tried.
I understand. We try to be consistent with the 5-year time period for both crashes and ADT, if available, right?
Yes.
One more question, please, if you don't mind. Are you also working on having this done to road segment versus intersections?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, member of the Transportation Safety Committee. We do have a plan to extend this to the MAG region arterial roadway segments. Now that we are almost done with the arterial intersections, we are planning to extend it to the MAG region arterial segments.
Thank you.
thank you, Mohammed. Anybody else have any other comments, questions for Mohammed? Okay, given that this is an information, oh, sorry, Carl, go ahead.
That's fine. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, one question, Mohammed. This is looking at the predictive safety analysis. Is there going to be a point where the cities are expected to perform this predictive for applications such as the road safety program and things of that nature? And if so, kind of when?
So I think you are asking about the MAG member agency, or in MAG, we plan to use this one, for all type of network screening and basically, planning and programming of our safety funding in conjunction with the other network screening that we have in place right now. I think one of the potential application area of this tool can be to find out, like, if you are planning to implement a safety countermeasure in future for a site, you can actually use the predictive capability of this tool to find out what's the effect gonna be of that safety countermeasures that you are planning to implement.
Go ahead, Margaret.
Mr. Chair, members of the Transportation Safety Committee, we feel like this tool can be used in several different ways. The discussions that we're having with policy committees on how to address safety will kind of give us a better look of what, safety programming or programming of safety elements inside other projects might look like. That might, this could definitely be used for something like that. We just don't know what that looks like yet. So stay tuned for that. I don't know where ADOT is in their effort to do predictive safety. And I don't know if they're still, I remember a couple of years ago, there was a thought that the HSIP program would move to more of a predictive analysis, going beyond what the eligibility is right now. So it could be used from, as Mohammed mentioned, we anticipate that at least the network screening will sunset the network screening methodology that we currently use to identify locations where we do road safety assessments. But all through, as Mohammed mentioned, if you have a project that you're looking at in your local agency, you could certainly use it for those purposes as well.
I think if Carl, if I understood you correctly, your question was, will it be required to be submitted along in conjunction with an application? I think.
And
if I'm not mistaken.
and just to reiterate that we don't really know what those programs are going to look like just yet. So to say require at this time would probably not be appropriate.
I guess maybe one clarification is, do we need to have staff that will be familiar, knowledgeable with this tool that will be going in and creating the networks, not necessarily the network stream, but the report per se to say the predictive for any applications for future stuff? Or is that stuff MAG staff would be assisting with?
I think it could be either, but I think it'd probably be a really good idea for staff to understand this, and with this, as well as with all the other tools that we're developing right now, we're trying to make them user friendly so that it's not going to take a whole lot of training. I know Mohammed provided you with a lot of information. And so there's definitely would have to be a period in which there's some training, or we would certainly provide an opportunity for staff to kind of sit with Mohammed or whoever to go through and go through the tool itself.
All right, thank you.
I guess if I can summarize, it's to be determined. It would be the executive summary. Yeah, as far as a requirement going into the future.
Correct.
So, all right, thank you. Anybody else have any other comments or questions? Hearing none, since this is an information and discussion item, there'll be no action taken. Item number 8, Glendale Alive at 25. This item is on the agenda for information and will be presented by Emily Pompa, Glendale Traffic Education Specialist. Welcome, Emily.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. Again, my name is Emily Pompa. I'm the Traffic Education Specialist with the City of Glendale, and I'm here to tell you guys about the why, what, and the how of the Alive at 25 program that's implemented by the National Safety Council. So if you could go ahead and go to the next slide for me. So just a little bit of background on the why. In 2019, the 7th Congressional District was marked as the highest in pedestrian fatalities in the entire nation. That district includes the City of Glendale. With that being said, the Transportation Department kind of got together, reviewed the education and outreach programs, and decided that the Alive at 25 program was a really great way to educate the younger drivers, ages 15 to 24, on how to be safer on the road. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what the different topics are within the program. And before we do that, if you go ahead and go to the next slide for me. We're going to talk about what Alive at 25 is. So again, we partnered with the National Safety Council, or the NSC. This is their program. They created the curriculum, the workbooks, everything that goes along with it. It is originally intended to be a 4-hour, 1-day course. We changed that up a little bit in terms of how we can best fit it into the local schools within Glendale. But again, it targets drivers from the age of 15 to 24. So those who are just starting out with driving, all the way up until the age of 25. We like to say it's because when you're 25, your brain is fully developed. And before then, we like to make a little more risky decisions. So we feel like this is a very big target group for risky behaviors and not having sound decisions while we're behind the wheel. So if you could go ahead and go to the next slide for me. So some of the topics that are discussed in here is inexperience, poor judgment, distractions, peer pressure, okay, the tendency to underestimate the risk, everything that I just kind of discussed a little bit briefly. The big ones here are speeding impairment, tailgating, aggression, failure to yield, and not wearing a safety belt. The two largest topics that I believe were mentioned a little bit earlier with one of our guest speakers was speeding and not wearing a safety belt. Those are the top 2 killers for kids in the age of 15 to 24. So we really try to focus on those 2 topics specifically. The workbook that's provided by the National Safety Council actually discusses both of those in really great detail with wonderful videos that kind of tugs at their heartstrings and some really good discussion that they get to have within the classroom about those different topics, maybe experiences that they've had, maybe experiences that they don't want to have in the future, and how we can best keep them from making those risky behavior choices. So you can go ahead and slide to the next one for me. So we go to 4 different districts within Glendale. We go to Glendale Union, Peoria, Deer Valley, and Tolleson. Within those 4 districts, we actually go to 9 separate high schools, and we have about 2,500 students that are trained. This program got implemented 3 years ago. I'm very new to Glendale. I just started a few months ago. My supervisor is the one that actually reached out to most of the high schools, and she had let me know that within the last 3 years, we have trained 2,500 students, and now that we are partnered with all 9 high schools in Glendale, we plan to get to 2,500 students every single year now. So the numbers are changing a little bit. We have a lot more on our plate, but this is the first time within the last couple of months that we've had every single high school within Glendale that's willing to be a part of this program. And if you could slide to the next one for me. Thank you. So it's about $18,375 per school year. This includes the workbook and the certificate per student. So each box of workbooks comes with a stack of certificates, and it's about $7.35, or not about, sorry, it is $7.35 for every workbook and certificate that's paired together. In order for students to receive their certificate, they must be present for every single day of the course. Up here, it says that we have a 5-day commitment to receive the certification. Like I said, it was originally intended as a 4-hour class in one day. That's not very possible in high school setting. If you guys have been in a high school setting, if you have any experience with teachers or teaching, you know that their schedules are very tight. So it's very important for us that we work with all of the teachers and administration in order to find a way that it fits within their schedule, and of course within a classroom that allows for this specific topic to be kind of fluid with the curriculum that they have in the course. So there are some days where we have, or sorry, not some days, some schools where we have a 4-day commitment rather than a 5-day commitment. That's just because there's some schools out there that have what's called block scheduling. So they have longer courses, hour to hour and a half classes, whereas most schools have a period schedule, which is about 55 minutes. So we really have to cram in all of that information within one class of 30 students for 50 minutes, and then we see them the next day. So we take that 4-hour course and we split it up into 1 week. The biggest benefit of this certificate is if students are there all 4 or 5 days and they receive that beautiful green certificate, we tell them that they're able to hand that certificate off to their parent or guardian, and they in turn hand it off to their insurance company. And we cross our fingers and hope that their insurance company allows them to have a nice little discount. We are starting to learn that some insurance companies are turning kids away because of the wording and how they say the program is implemented. A lot of kids go and their parents just say, oh, it's just a class they took at school. And insurance companies more often than not are just thinking, well, if it's just a class you took in school, why would I give you a discount for this? So we're trying to change the wording a little bit and tell kids it's very important that you ask them how to give them the certificate, as well as mentioning that this is the National Safety Council. It's not just some curriculum that we took off the street and threw into a classroom. This is from a real reputable organization, and it's something that we take a lot of pride in. And I think it's something that insurance companies should really also take pride in, the fact that there's kids out there, 15 to 18 is who we get to, that are taking the time and accountability to become safer drivers on the road. You could go ahead and slide to the next page for me. Thank you. So in order to get trained to be an instructor, it's approximately $1,600. This is for the e-learning course as well as the resource kit. The resource kit is a nice little binder that comes with a teaching manual, as well as a little jump drive that has all of the slides and PowerPoints uploaded for you to implement into the classroom as soon as you step foot in front of those kids. It also comes with some extra resources, your certification, and some things that you can use to reach out to the National Safety Council in case you have any questions or concerns. This is a self-paced course. If you really sit down and focus, it will take you maybe a couple of days to finish. And then, like I said, it also comes with the instructor manual, which gives you information on facilitation methods and also trains you on how to deal with specific students. Obviously, high schoolers aren't going to be 100% behaved all the time. So it definitely covers all of the different methodologies that come along with teaching, as well as the curriculum itself and how to best implement it in a specific setting. Once you complete that course, you do receive your first year of instructor credentials. So they send you an email as well as your identification card that you hold with you at all times. And then every single year, there is an annual renewal for $65. So once you pay that $1,612, it is a pretty hefty amount, but it's a $65 renewal for each year. My supervisor did tell me that if you allow that renewal to roll over, or sorry, let me rephrase that. Thank you, lapse. If you allow it to lapse, then you actually have to redo the e-learning course and pay the fee again. So it's very much worth doing the $65 annual fee rather than letting it lapse and having to redo the course and pay the extra fee or extra money. And then if you could switch to the next slide for me. So buy-in, time, and staff. So buy-in, the last 3 years, my supervisor, as well as who was there before her, who started the program, they have worked with administration as well as the teachers to ensure that they are able to find a way to implement it into the schools in a way that is easiest for the teachers, administration, and the students. We, of course, are really excited about the program. We want to implement that program, but at the end of the day, we kind of have to find a way to fit into their world. And that brings us into time. Like I said, every single school is different. So we have some schools that are on a period schedule. They have shorter courses. So we have to be there for the 5 days and make sure that we're not cutting into too much of the teacher's curriculum. They have specific standards and ideas that they have to follow throughout the year. And we have to make sure that we're not interrupting their goals and ideas for where they want their students to be at the end of the year. So we really try to find courses where this curriculum fits in. So excuse me, within the Peoria district, they actually have a driver's education program. So this works out perfectly. From what it sounded like, my supervisor reached out to the Peoria district and they were immediately on board. Why would you not want to have a curriculum that discusses how to be a safer driver in your driver's ed course? JROTC, so kids who are planning to be in the military at some point, they do cover a lot of safety training within their courses. So they felt that this course was a good fit, and that's within the Glendale district. And then in in all other districts, so Tolleson and Deer Valley, they have health classes where they feel that this also fits into their curriculum. And then the last but not least is staff. We have, as of right now, 2 staff, and that is me and my supervisor. We split the classes that we go in and teach. Some weeks are very easy and we have maybe 1 or 2 sections that we go and teach. And we've also had a couple of weeks where we get there at the time the bell rings and we're there all day, every single day that week until the kids leave. And at that point, we're pretty much teachers and we're having back-to-back sections. It can get to be a little bit of a handful. This is the first year that we've had all 9 schools. So my supervisor was telling me that it's been a little bit hard to kind of rearrange scheduling things like that because we do things outside of implementing this program. So trying to rearrange our schedules has been a little bit tricky. And then if you could go ahead and switch to the next slide for me. Thank you. And then the National Safety Council recently recognized the city of Glendale as the only city in the entire nation that implements this program. And therefore, the city of Glendale received the Community Partner in Safety Award. So that is something that we are hopefully trying to change by being in this meeting today. We want all of the cities and everyone, not just in Arizona, but in the entire country to hopefully find a way to implement this into their schools, which brings me to our very last slide or next slide. Mostly because we have seen a decline in the pedestrian fatalities as well as just fatal crashes overall. So we've seen a 75% decrease in pedestrian crashes, and we are down about 22% in overall fatal crashes. So these positive trends can be contributed to obviously a number of things and changes that have happened within the transportation department, but we do believe that one of the biggest attributes to that is the Alive at 25 program. And then very last slide for me. My supervisor is Cassandra. She is the traffic education program manager. This is her contact information if you would like to reach out to her. Debbie is the chief operations officer with the Arizona chapter for the National Safety Council. That is another form of contact that you guys can have about implementing it into the schools within your district or county or wherever you may be at. And then I am here today filling in for Cassandra, but I am more than willing to answer any questions that you guys might have for me.
Thank you, Emily. Before I open it up to questions, I will ask you one question. How do you see, approaching schools? Are they very open to it? Or if there's a school that has a challenge, what do you recommend if anybody decides to implement this program? How do you recommend them reaching to those schools?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the best way to start out is definitely with administration, right? They run the show. So it's ultimately up to them to determine how a guest speaker is going to be able to come into the school. But another really good route that I would suggest is when you go to talk to admin, go on the school website. Most schools out there will have every single teacher's contact information. And if there's a school somewhere in some district in Arizona and you said, hey, I think that this class, let's say it's a health class, I think this class would really benefit from me implementing this Alive at 25 program, find that teacher's contact information and include them in that email and communication. Because we've had a couple of instances where administration is contacted. They don't really take our wanting to come to their school very seriously. And then we found out a couple of other times that the teachers were actually very willing to have us come and speak. So definitely rope the teachers into that if you can find their contact information, because some teachers have fought for it a little bit more than just reaching out to admin. We did also reach out to a few SROs. For those of you guys that don't know what SROs are, they're just school resource officers within the city. And they are also very passionate about it. More often than not, school resource officers also go into schools and they have good discussions about DUIs, impaired driving, things like that. And they are also very willing to talk with the schools in your local area. So my suggestion, find administration's contact information, try to rope in the teacher and loop them in as much as possible if you have an idea of what class you want to be in with what teacher.
Thank you, Emily. Anybody else have any questions, comments? Mazen?
Yes, I'm Mazen Muradovich from Maricopa County DOT. So thank you for being here and explaining all that stuff. Could you please describe to us how does your schedule work as far as if you were invited to go to speak to in a school somewhere? How do you do that? What's the length of your period that you're staying there with them? And what kind of material are you using? Is it typical? Is it changes? If you could share that with us, I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
So let me walk you through just a quick example. So we reach out to admin, teacher, and they let us know, hey, we want you, come in. And then that's when you start to communicate with the teacher. When's a week that works best for you for us to come in within your schedule, your curriculum that you have to teach? We work with the teachers. They give us a week. They say you can come in from this date to this date. From then, they send us the rosters for their students. We use those rosters to create our sign-in sheets, and we start to prep the workbooks that come from the NSC. And from there, we take our workbooks, and there's a little flyer that kids get that talk about what the course is and what they get out of it. We bring all of that with us to the school. And for example, Mountain Ridge High School, we taught 5 sections each day, and their class periods are 55 minutes. So from the time the bell rings, we do ask that teachers try to give us as much time as possible. So they'll usually take attendance really quick, and then we start. There is a PowerPoint on that jump drive that I mentioned earlier. We plug that in. The presentation is already prepped and prepared for us. The NSC has actually asked that we do not change it in any way whatsoever. So the nice thing is the NSC has given us all the curriculum. We just have to be the ones to implement it. So once the presentation starts, we hand out workbooks. The kids hold on to that workbook the entire week. And then within those 55 minutes each day throughout the week, we cover a different section. So it's split up into 5 sections. The 5th section is not required in Arizona, and we unfortunately do not have enough time to touch on it. So we cover sections 1, 2, 3, and 4 within that 5-day span. And then for schools such as Raymond Kellis, those classes are an hour and 15 minutes long. So we have much more time. So bless you. So we actually take out 1 day since they have such longer class periods, and we usually get through all the curriculum within those 4 days and split up into a section each day.
Question from Avondale. Is this just a one-time course, or is it, do they need to, can they take more refreshment courses after they get the certificate?
Sorry, I just had a little bit of trouble hearing you. I believe you asked if this is the one and only course, or if there's courses that come after this one. Is that correct?
Like a refreshment day now, like, once kids take this class or something, like they tend to forget the rules and the guidelines and if we have another one, just as a refreshment, that would probably help them because if they are trained at, let's say, 15 years old, and by the time they start driving, they may kind of forget the rules and they have a refreshment that would probably be helpful for them. So my question is this a one-time course or can they take multiple times?
So this is a one-time course. They could take it again if they would like to. It's completely free to them when we go and implement it into the schools. The National Safety Council actually allows kids age 15 to 24 to go and take this course outside of school, but they do have to pay a fee for it. I believe it's $75. So we're implementing it into schools completely free. There's nothing the school has to pay. They just have to give us the time to come in. So they could 100% go and take it again, but it is intended to be a one-time course. Now with each school, it's a little bit different. So our schools that teach driver's ed, they have a new driver's ed course every single quarter. So we'll go back to those schools 4 times a year. Whereas Mountain Ridge, Deer Valley, all the schools in the Deer Valley district, they change classes once a semester. So we see them twice a year. And then we also have a couple of schools that have the same kids all year round. So we'll see them once. But to answer your question plainly, they usually only take it one time.
Follow-up question. I was just wondering, did NSC try to make this as a curriculum course? Make it as a mandatory course for the school kids?
So I don't think, and you can correct me if I heard you wrong, but I believe you asked if the NSC is trying to push to make this a mandatory course, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So the NSC is not pushing to make this a mandatory course as of right now. They are actually, I think, starting a little bit further back from that, and they're trying to find a way to implement it into more schools. So since the city of Glendale is the only city in the nation that's doing this right now, the NSC is trying as hard as possible to find people such as myself and my supervisor who have education experience to get into these classrooms and start teaching it. I think once we see this curriculum start to populate in more and more schools within more and more districts in more states, then I think at that point the NSC may or may not start to push towards it being a mandatory course. But as of right now, that is not their intent.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, one question, looking back at your graph data as far as your reduction in fatalities and severity, is that citywide or is that specific to the young age group you're trying to attract?
So this is just, and I'll go ahead and answer that one, Carl, because this is information that we get from PD. And one of the things that we noticed, there was a lot of fatal crashes and specifically the pedestrian crashes. And so we thought with more education, hopefully, that we would start seeing that trend come down along with the SS4A that we're going to be implementing, or hopefully we can get under contract pretty soon. But that was just more specific data that I usually share with them that we get from our Glendale PD. So that there's no, when you look at regression to the mean, this is a one, you look at the pedestrian crashes and there were pretty much every year. Granted, unless there's a spike between now and December 31st, hopefully that trend for us, at least this year, has come way down. So, and I'm not going to say, this is just one tool that we're using to hopefully educate more people and hopefully with the goal is, as with every other tool, is to hopefully reduce the fatal crashes, not only in Glendale, but in the Maricopa area also.
Yep, thank you.
Just follow up. Part of your education course would cover both drivers and walking to school group, I guess?
So unfortunately, it does not cover pedestrians or bicyclists. Unfortunately, it's just for those that are starting behind the wheel. Yeah.
I have a quick question, Mr. Chair, members of the Transportation Safety Committee. Thank you for your presentation. Does the NSC have a kind of a database or a list of other agencies throughout the country that do this? The reason I'm asking is just having knowledge of a lot of the different local agencies here in the MAG region. They don't all have traffic education staff, right? So I'm wondering what that would look like at an agency that did not have that talent, I guess, in their roster.
So from what it sounds like, there are no other agencies that provide this. It sounds like from what the NSC has told us, they find instructors to get certified and they teach it on Saturday morning and usually to those that have a citation. So if you're between the ages of 15 and 24 and you receive a citation, this is your traffic school. So this is where you go, you sit in that classroom for 4 hours and you have a certified instructor that teaches it to you. From what they've told us, there are no other organizations that are doing what we are doing. And from what it sounds like, from what my supervisor has told me, there is no other city that has education specialists such as ourselves.
I think, did Phoenix have somebody at one point that was more into traffic education, or was it more safety?
We've had some school safety people that have coordinated with schools. Most of our coordination has been at the younger age group, more elementary schools in the past.
Thank you, Carl. Okay, are there any other questions for Emily?
Emily, this is Craig and Buckeye. Can
Hello?
you hear me?
Yes.
There you go. All right. Anyways, thank you. This is a great presentation. The question I have, you said your target is 15 to 18. Raj kind of touched on it a little bit. But you're going all the way up to 25. So those students, or I guess ex-students, graduated already from 19 to 25. How do they have access? How do they get access to this?
So the reason we only reach 15 to 18-year-olds is because, I mean, I would hope there wouldn't be any 24-year-olds in high school still. But the reason we say 15 to 24 is because that is who the curriculum is specifically made for. We just only have the luxury of going into high school setting where more often than not, it's 15 to 18. We might have gone to a couple of kids that are a little bit younger than 15, so just before that permit age, or maybe they started school a little bit later and maybe they're more around the age of 19, but we usually don't reach that 20 to 24 range. Those students that end up taking that course are usually going to be the ones that receive that citation and end up in the traffic course. So I think our overall goal and idea is if we implement and present this course to these kids between the ages of, let's say, 14 to 19, then our hope is that they would never receive that citation and they never have to be in this traffic course again. Therefore, they will already have the knowledge and ideas of how to prevent choosing risky driving behaviors far before the age of 20.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
I just have a question. Is NSC looking for creating an online course? I mean, in the sense a short a video, a 30 minutes video, an hour video, just to make it available for everyone throughout the nation. Nowadays, most kids and adults are more glued to their screen, and it would probably help the parents and the students to learn on their own pace the safety of the roadway. Maybe they should look into that.
I guess this question is maybe I'm gathering that is to be a self-taught course rather than, no, is that not what this question was?
Not necessarily. Go ahead.
Okay, no, I'm just, Raj, this is Raj, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we were just having a hard time hearing you, I guess, so.
No, can you hear me better now? I can repeat my question.
Yeah, go ahead and repeat the question.
What I was saying is that, can we create a short video for like a 30 minutes, an hour-long video, just kind of like putting together all the course material in it, and just for the kids or anyone to sit down and watch the video and learn the safety rules of the roadway instead of we going to the school. I mean, I like the process, but on top of it, if we can make that video available for the kids to learn on their own pace and own time.
So I believe the NSC already offers it as an online course for those that receive a citation and are required to take the course. So they can take it online and click through the course at their own pace. I believe, and I could get a definite answer for you later on if you'd like to, but I believe our idea is that seeing these kids in person and being face to face and having these really hard discussions and watching these videos with them and really telling them the dangers and really forcing them to see and understand why this curriculum is so important. I feel like for us, that was a really, really important factor in being able to implement this course. Whereas, as great as technology is, and I totally agree, kids are glued to their screen, and they probably want every opportunity to take it within 30 minutes to an hour, but we just don't feel like that it's going to have the same effect on the students. Whereas when we're there with them for 5 days, we get to know them, understand them, their experiences, we share experiences. It hits home a little bit harder for them.
Yeah, it makes sense, yeah. But now my suggestion is that for kids, those don't have this opportunity. I mean, I know it's really hard for you guys to go to every school and cover every kid. My suggestion is that we also make this available free and also through school websites, you know, and make it as a mandatory course for kids to take it on their own and make the parents also get involved in it somehow to make them learn the just like, you know, all city employees and government employees, I would say they have this mandatory, you know, defensive course that we take every year, but I doubt that private private, you know, citizens are have the access or the requirement to take these courses.
So they do have access to the course. They can take the course online. It's about a $75 fee, but it is still the lengthy course. It's definitely not shortened up into that 30 minutes to an hour. So people do have the ability to take the course. They just have to pay the fee for it, and anyone can do that. I'm just saying more often than not, it's people who receive a citation that are the ones that end up in it, because I don't think a lot of people are educated on what the course is and the fact that it is available to them. And I don't think the NSC has had any ideas of making it a mandatory course. That's not something or any information that they've relayed to us. If that is something that they were wanting to do, unfortunately, that's something that's out of my supervisor and I's hands. And that would be more of a question for Debbie, the Chief Operations Officer, who's actually up on the screen. So if you wanted to jot down her information, that's something that you could definitely discuss with her, because she's going to definitely have the ability to go in and have that discussion and maybe make that something that's possible in the future.
Got it. I'll coordinate with you both. I have more questions and also I'm trying to do the same thing in my city, so I'll definitely coordinate with you guys after this.
Yeah, if you wanted to reach out to Cassandra as well, her information is still up on the screen. She is the go-to person within our city. Like I said, she's my supervisor. She's the one who's in charge of this. She's the one who has gotten most of the schools on board, discussed the curriculum with teachers, administration. So if you wanted to jot down her email and phone number as well, she would love to answer any questions that you have about implementing a program such as this into your own city.
Thank you for answering my question. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Emily. Since this is an information discussion, there will be no action taken. I will go ahead and move on to requests for future agenda items. Are there any requests from the membership for any item on future agenda? Items? Okay, hearing none. The next agenda item is comments from the committee. Are there any comments or announcements from the membership? Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, this is Jacob Pruitt, the State Traffic Safety Manager for ADOT. Just want to make sure I publish out there that the 2024 SHSP for Arizona has been published. You just Google Arizona SHSP and it should be the first link. And the Active Transportation Safety Action Plan has been published with that. So it is live out there for public consumption on the website.
Thank you. Any other comments from any of the other members? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the adjournment. The next meeting of the Transportation Safety Meeting will be on Tuesday, January 28th, 2025 at 10 a.m. With no further business, today's meeting is adjourned at 11:45 a.m. Thank you, everybody.